Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna be rating Colleen Hoover books. I have 6 books, 5 books physically, but the 6th book is being bought right now. 6 of her books that I've read in a row. And I'm gonna tell you how I feel about them. So if you wanna see this video, just keep on watching. All right, y'all, so these are the books that I have in no particular order, so don't get any ideas. Plus Ugly Love. Ugly Love was the first Colleen Hoover book I read. Majority of these books are romances, and if you know Colleen Hoover, you know her writing is pretty, she has a pretty particular writing style. She likes to write from different time periods, different points of view, short chapters. Like, there's certain things she does in her book and it kind of just makes it a Colleen Hoover book. I will say in some books I loved it, and in other books I was just like, can we skip to the good part? But I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'm actually gonna start at the bottom of my list. The book that I read that I feel like it just wasn't doing it for me. Now, let me preface this by saying I actually really do love all of her books, but rating them against each other, this one it wasn't doing it. Sorry. But that book is Regretting You. So I'm not gonna put any spoilers in any of the things that I'm saying, but honestly, y'all, this book I just felt like it was missing something. I don't know what it is, because I love a realistic book. I love that the mother-daughter relationship was very realistic. It's not one of those books where it's like, oh, you already know what's gonna happen. As I was reading this book, I felt like I had a lot of questions that just didn't get answered, and I think that's the reason why this is at the bottom of my list. So as far as what I rated this book, I gave it 3.5 stars, and that's only because, like, I guess, like, for the book to be so relatable and so real, some of the situations just weren't realistic, and that kind of, it just didn't work for me. So, like, if we're gonna have realistic relationships, the situations that happen in the relationships need to be realistic as well. It was a really good book. It was an interesting read. It was slow in the beginning, but once you got to where the plot thickens, like, it was thick. But then, like I said, I had unanswered questions. So yeah, it just took it down. It just took that rating down a little bit for me. But this is at the bottom of my list. If you disagree with me and you've read the same books that I've read and you want to do this ranking with me, let me know where this book would go in your list, because I would love to see how y'all feel against what my opinion is. So next, I think this might actually hurt people's feelings. Now, I will say I have not watched anybody's reviews on this book. I just finished reading this book this morning, and that is It Starts With Us. I love this book because I felt like we needed this after reading It Ends With Us. But I only gave this book 4 stars. 4 stars because if it was a standalone book, I wouldn't have to, like, I wouldn't feel obligated to read it again. I wouldn't be excited to read it again. Like, it gave me what I needed to be, you know, a sequel from another book. So it was definitely a great read. I was satisfied reading the book, but if it were a standalone, I would just be like, I mean, it was cool. You know, like, I hope that makes sense. Great book, good read. I don't know why, it took me a good minute to read this book. I don't know what it was, but I was reading it really slow. Like, I don't know what it was, y'all. It took me a while to read this book, like a whole week, but it was a really good read. I thought it was really cute, and that's all I'm gonna say about this one. So that's number 5 on the list. Coming in at number 4, we have November 9. So I actually really liked the storyline in this book, and then the plot twist toward the end, like, I literally was not expecting it. Like, the romance was so cute. It was a little bit of like a, I guess they say, a fake dating trope. I hope I'm saying it right, y'all. I'm new to the whole book reading community. I'm trying to hop in there though. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I honestly think it was a really good book, But for me, something was missing at the end. Like, it had everything I needed except for something at the end. I was like, wait, the book is over? It was missing something. I don't know what it was, but it would, like, the plot was great. The storyline was great. Everything in this book was really good. Plot twist, the romance, everything was so good. So a small synopsis of this book. This has to deal with two people who meet, and they meet up one day a year for 5 years on November 9th. It might sound like it's a lot, but it's actually really easy to follow through with. It's really easy to read. It's not like it's not doing too much. It's not chaotic in any way. It was a very easy read. I really like this book. A little twisted, but it was really good. I would really recommend this book. 4.5 stars, y'all. But yeah, that was number 4. So for number 3 and number 2, I have 2 books that are tied. But ultimately, I will bring in Verity at number 3. Verity would have been number 2 if it wasn't so difficult to read. Now, I don't mean that like hard to understand or anything like that. Like, it was a very easy follow, but some of the things in this book, y'all, were like, oh my God, like my heart was hurting. Now, I didn't cry, but this was a thriller. So if you don't know about Verity, this follows an author who is like, I don't know if she's new to writing books, but she's like a small town author, doesn't get very many sales, and she's offered an opportunity to finish a book series for a big time author who has the same writing style as her, but has gone through an injury and can no longer write her book. So she takes up that opportunity, and then things get weird. I'm not even kidding. Things get like really weird. This book had me in a chokehold. I was locked in, but every time I got to one of those dark spaces, I had to put the book down. I had to slow down. I had to be like, whoa, my heart, because I couldn't take it. Like, I was disgusted, to say the least. So this was a 5-star read for me. It was a great book. Even though it had those moments, I'm not gonna knock that just because, my heart couldn't handle it. Great read, very twisted. I love the book. I would definitely recommend this book if you haven't read it. Only reason I didn't give it the number 2 spot is because of those struggles I had with reading the book, but it was such a good book. And there's also a little bit of romance in there. I forgot to put that in there. So it's twisted, but there's also a little bit of romance, but that's all I'm gonna say about that. So that's number 3. I do not have my number 2 read, but that is going to be Ugly Love. Ugly Love was such a good book. It was the first Colleen Hoover book I read, meaning that it was the first book I read since I started back reading in like over 10, probably 15 years. Y'all, I have literally not read a book in that long. And since I started reading, it's been all Colleen Hoover. She's had me in a chokehold. But Ugly Love was such a good book. I cried. When I get a book, I read the back of the book. And when I'm doing that, I'm just like, okay, I try to predict what's going to happen as I'm reading the book. And I'm trying to get away from doing that, but that's just what I do. So as I'm reading Ugly Love, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's up with the cover of the book? Well, I found out what was up with the cover of the book, and I was so wrong. I was so wrong. My prediction was wrong, and it had me heartbroken. Ugly Love basically follows 2 people who are in not even in a relationship. They're in a friends with benefits type of situation. So they come up with a conclusion, and they're like, look, we're gonna do this thing, but we have 2 rules. And Miles's rules are, don't ask me about my past and don't expect the future. So we can do this thing as long as you don't have any kind of expectations from me. And that's the book, y'all. So this book is spicy. There's a whole lot of action. There's a whole lot of action in this book. It's very spicy. I mean, it's a book about friends with benefits, but the storyline is also really good. It's so good. It's what got me back into reading, and I'm so glad I'm back because it just really, it took me there. So yeah, that's gonna be my number 2 book. And with that being number 2, of course, I had to put It Ends With Us at number 1, the number 1 spot. This book is so good. Oh my God. Oh, I forgot to say that the last book was a 5-star read, but of course, like, we're at 5 stars right now. So 5-star read, 5 stars, 5 stars. I would give it more if I could. I said there won't be any spoilers, so I won't. But it's really hard to talk about this book without talking about the spoilers, because it's the whole premise of the book. Like, it's what the whole book stands for. It's what the whole book is about. And it's like, it's the whole book. Now, it is a romance book, but it comes with so much more. So before you read the book, look up the trigger warnings. I didn't do that with any of the books that I read. I don't like to do that, because when I know the trigger warnings, first of all, I didn't even know that that was a thing, like looking up trigger warnings for books, because, you know, I'm new to this. But I will say that, like, reading some of these books, there are triggers, especially like this one. Oh my God. But if you're planning on reading a book, look up the trigger warnings. But if you also don't want to spoil the book, then don't. But I mean, do what you gotta do. I don't know. It's such a good book. To me, this book is something that I feel like every woman should read. It's relatable. And I think that's why I love it so much, because it's not just like a fairy tale, oh, happy ending, like, yeah, no. It's a book that could happen in real life to real people in real situations. And a lot of people have dealt with what happens in this book in real life, in real situations. So I think that's what made me really love this book. It's very relatable, and it's something that will give you a new perspective. You know, the situations that go on in this book, everybody has an opinion on. So when you read the book, it actually gives you a different perspective on what may or may not be happening in other people's relationships or situations, or, you know, what have you. If you've been through it, you relate. If you haven't been through it, you still can relate. That's all I'm gonna say. Top tier, great book. I absolutely love it. I would recommend to any and everybody who asks me. This is my rating. We have It Ends With Us, Ugly Love, Verity, November 9, It Starts With Us, and Regretting You. I still have more Colleen Hoover books downstairs, you know, in my bookshelf that I am getting ready to read. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I guess maybe it's her writing style. I'm getting into a reading slump. I think that's why it took me so long to read It Starts With Us. I need a different writing style. I need a different genre. I need something to get me out of this slump. So I'm about to start a different book from a different author. I think I'm starting Sometimes I Lie. I think that's what it's called. If you guys have read any of these books, rate them in the comment section. And if you read multiple of these books, rank them in the comment section so I can see what your ranking is compared to mine. And if we have the same thought process, if you like the book, you know, let me know what you liked about it, what you didn't like, or like if you relate to any of the things that I said. Also, if you want me to do a more in-depth review, you know, that might contain some spoilers because we're getting in there, I can definitely do that. Put that in the comment section below, because I would love to. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you in the next one.